Yo, welcome to Carefree Tactics. I'm your boy. No. Welcome to the other side of the coin. No, welcome. Wow, I messed up in the first 3 seconds. But you know what? That's even better because we have some tactics to talk about today. It's I sound so happy because even though we drew this game, we did so well to have the energy, the tempo that really reminded me of our UCL run and how we press so well and how we had so much energy to win back those balls and then high up the pitch and actually create those chances that we are known for doing against high lines. And um that's why I actually reached out to Miz today, my guest or my host, I would say, and to do this videos because I really think that we went back to the basics today, and there's a reason for this. There's a difference in how we press with and without Lukaku, and I think it's a big talking point to get into, and I'm really excited to get into it. So, without further ado, let me share the screen. Let me share this tactical board.
Brilliant. We're going to bring up the tactical board very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. But I just want to say it's literally 3:30 a.m. where Ryan is, and this is phenomenal work. He's been working on this particular thing for the last 6 to 7 hours. So this is going to be quite incredible what he's going to showcase to us in regards to how our pressing was a lot more efficient without Lukaku. Let's play the intro and then we'll bring out the tactical board, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. I hope you guys have enjoyed that intro from Ryan. I thought, do you know what? Let Ryan run with this one. And obviously, he started off with Carefree Tactics, trying to take over the channel, but it is what it is. It's nice. It's a nice touch. Why not? Ryan, my boy, talk to us because you're right. The match looked like we went back to basics like last season in the Champions League, as you said, absolutely bang on. Pressing was a lot more cohesive. And overall, like the fluidity up front, we caused a bit of chaos for them. Even before they scored, we were causing chaos. We just couldn't capitalize on them. And then, of course, the way we came back was sensational. It was a great, great performance. But yeah, take it away, my man.
All right, and there's a reason for that. So let's get into it. Well, Liverpool started with a 4-3-3, right? So from the get-go, this is how their back four line up when they play out from the back. So they have basically a back two with their CBs and their fullbacks high up, creating this sort of angle here, and a back four when you watch it. Let me bring out the ball, the football.
The
So we
ball
know
is out, bro.
what
The ball
going.
is out.
And yeah, so from here, let's pretend they are building play from their right center back, right? So how we would press in this match, how we did press in this match is firstly, Havertz, our left winger, which is interesting because even though we would assume that he would be playing centrally most of the time, he actually played on the left most of the time this game. There's a reason for that, especially, but I'll get into that in the end of this video. But yes, firstly, what he did was that he actually pressed and covered the passing lanes from center back to full back. What this did is that it allowed the freedom for the rest of our front two to actually press and put pressure on the opposition center backs. So that's our first line of press there. And there's a reason for it, a huge reason for it. And a huge reason for it, I kind of said it backwards there, but Pulisic actually pressing the center back allows Havertz to get more wide and press and relieves him of that central duty of pressing those center backs that allows him to block those passing lanes to the fullback. What this does is it relieves Alonso of his pressing duty. Instead of pressing wide and forward, which we usually see him press many of the times, this time he was allowed to tuck in more
he was
as an
tucking
inverted
in.
wing back.
Yep.
And what this does is kind of allows us to make a makeshift midfield three. Let me just pull out these lines here. You can see a makeshift midfield three here. And this is so important because what it does, it actually helps us counteract Liverpool's midfield three, and that was a huge worry for some people. I actually saw your preview at PYS. He wanted us to be a 5-3-2 to counter that midfield three.
Yeah.
Well, this is a makeshift way on how we aim to counter attack that midfield three. We allowed Alonso to tuck in by relieving him of his duty with Havertz going wide, and we had a midfield three like this. What this did, and this is in the pressing phase here, right? Having Havertz here and Pulisic now getting into press here, instead of the passing lane being open to the side, we actually force them to pass centrally to the midfield directly from central areas. What we did is we lured or lowered them in, lured or wherever that word is. We did it successfully to this area of the pitch. And what happened is that all of a sudden this midfield three, what we just said here, presses very aggressively. And we can see we get into let me just draw this there. We get into a position where, create a circle here, that we are outnumber Liverpool's midfield. Even though they have a midfield three, this other midfielder here is kind of wayward, so I won't really count him as a 3v3. Instead, I would say we get into a 3v2 situation here, which is advantageous for us. So when we get into that 3v2 situation, we can actually win back the ball in those areas, and that's what we've seen a lot, especially with Alonso.
Is that why? I mean, because I didn't get to watch the match again after. It was just so late. But when I was watching the match, first half or the second half, it was quite evident we weren't getting dominated in midfield. And a lot of the fans, it's so easy to say, oh, that's because we didn't have Jorginho. You know, we've got Kante and Kovacic. They cover a lot of ground. Look, Kante and Kovacic, of course, they cover a lot of ground. But I've seen many a times even before when we've had a double pivot and there's no support from either wing backs or, let's say, the inside forwards tucking in. In this case, you've got the inverted situation with Alonso. In that particular match yesterday, I felt we didn't get outnumbered, and at certain moments, I felt we dominated Liverpool. Is this probably one of the reasons why it kind of felt like that?
Yeah, I mean, not taking anything away from the individual quality of Kovacic and Kante to actually cover the ground, and not only that, but when they do retrieve the ball, have the bravery and the courage to turn and take on players and get out of situations. But from a tactical shape point of view and numbers point of view, yes. This is very important that we got Alonso into these positions. I think one-on-one versus Salah always going to be difficult for him, you know.
Yeah.
But I think in these positions here, I'm seeing him win the ball there numerous times in this game. I was very happy with that. The reason why I was happy with that, because upon winning the ball in these areas, which we used to do back in our UCL days, you know, the golden days a couple months ago,
Yep.
immediately these two players, these two forwards would start interchanging to get in behind. We would see sometimes Pulisic dropping deep and allowing Havertz to run in behind, and then Mount could get into the box, and now we counter-attack in a beautiful way that we catch the back line of Liverpool off guard, especially as they are kind of in a high line. And or we would see sometimes Havertz would get in here and Pulisic would get in behind, and like that chance he had where he cut in and didn't shoot for some odd reason.
Well, that one-on-one chance you're talking about, right? Where I think was it Mount or was it Havertz that won the press on the right-hand side initially, and then obviously Pulisic was
yeah. Which one you're talking here? When Havertz won it here and gave him a 1-1. I'm talking about the
Havertz,
1-1.
was it? That was Havertz that won the press.
Havertz. Yeah. I'm talking about the one before when Pulisic had a 1-on-1 here and he just decided to cut in and he didn't even get a shot on and he lost the ball.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we could see combinations like that which actually allowed them to get in behind. You know, from these positions here, what we'd see, let me bring in 3 more players because it's 11 men on a pitch. What we'd see is that Rudiger now would actually join the press and mark Salah 1v1.
Yep.
1v1 with
very
Salah.
Evident, Ryan. Rudiger was on Salah's case throughout the match. The one time he just stuffed up was when Salah scored, but I still think Alonso probably had enough chance to stop that. But you're right, Rudy was on Salah's case throughout the match.
Yeah, and what happened here to cover this gap here is now our whole uh back five basically has to shift, and that's why I think Aspilicueta played at wing back, especially for this game. Not I saw PYS I think wanted Hudson Doy, but that wasn't going to be a good idea because when we get this 1v1 position, no way Alonso is going to be 1v1 with Salah. So when Rudiger basically get as a left back, we had Thiago Silva covering, Chalobah getting the central defensive positions, and then Aspi coming back as a wide CB, and that's how we kept a makeshift back four.
Just to sort of interject again, sorry to keep butting in. I just feel like it's great to have a conversation whilst you're sort of demonstrating as well. That's probably why Chalobah, when he stuffed up and Mane scored, he was so central. He was the central CB.
Yes, I mentioned that on the thread actually. That's why he was so much times for the first time we've seen him so much at central defensive positions. He struggled at first, but I think he really grew into the game, man.
After that, he was flawless. After the mistake, he was flawless.
Yeah. So yeah, this is how we pressed against that in that game. This is obviously defended from the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it's very similar. So I won't really go into it. But before I move on to how we press with Lukaku, is there anything you want to bring up from that game where you recognized and reiterate a bit before I change up the field?
No, so far I've touched on everything that I wanted to sort of clarify. One of the key ones was the fact that it looked like we were dominating in midfield, and I wanted to get that explanation, and you've provided that brilliantly with Alonso. Because it did look like, even though Kante and Kovacic covers a lot of ground, there definitely was some help. So, and yeah, Rudiger was always on Salah's case, which you've also clarified, and the fact that Chalobah was more centrally located as Thiago Silva was drifting to the left to make sure, there is some cover behind Rudiger. You've covered it brilliant, and Aspi, as you said, wasn't really a right wing back. He was more of a RB, a right back, to be honest. So, no, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. Just briefly, I said I wasn't going to talk about the right-hand side, but I just want to talk about this Aspi part. You know how we would see Alonso overlapping and get into those positions still, despite starting from here? Aspi actually didn't really get into those positions. Let me just undo all these drawings here before. Yeah, Aspi didn't really get into all those positions. What Aspi really did is that he actually stayed in deeper positions, and that's why Havertz played on the left this time. This is because we provided an overload where Mount would actually get wide instead.
Yep, you're absolutely
and be
right.
by that fullback, and then Pulisic would overlap in inverted areas, make those runs in behind, while Kante would come and support. What we'd see there is this diamond shape forming here, where Kante, Pulisic, and Mount could interchange to get in behind, and Havertz would get into the box, and Alonso would also get into the box. That's why Havertz played on the left. So when we attack from that right-hand side, we could have Havertz in a striker position. We could have Alonso getting into the box also, and we could protect Aspi not only because of his age and getting back and forth, but to protect Chalobah. You don't want him to be all alone with Mane. Yeah, it's late, guys.
It is late. Just to interject one more time, I do need to point out a particular point. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. Ryan, so many times people talk about, Christian Pulisic is out of position. He's out of position. What you've just demonstrated to me right now, Ryan, we as a fan base, we lack the deeper understanding of tactical football, what Thomas Tuchel's trying to do. People think Christian Pulisic is just fixated on the left inside forward because that's his position. That's his natural position. This demonstration just literally showed that he was pretty much a roaming player, and not just him, even Havertz as well. Havertz, playing a lot on the left side and then drifting into more central position. Pulisic, maybe starting position was in the central location, but then moving to the right side to overload. I mean, what do you have to say to the fans, Ryan, that think that Pulisic's best position is only on the left, when clearly this demonstration, and I'm pretty sure if people go and watch the match and focus on Pulisic only, they'll see how he's moving everywhere and anywhere pretty much.
I think when I watched back this match, I was really impressed with Pulisic because it was such a dramatic match. I couldn't even understand anything tactically that was going on. I was just glued to my screen with my heart beating fast for a whole hour and a half.
Yeah.
But when I actually watched it over, it was really important that Pulisic in this game. Let me just go back to our normal 3-4-3. Pulisic in this game, his position or his role was to support each of our wingers, quote unquote wingers, and not only to support but to actually intertwine with them or combine with them. And we actually got to see, many times Mount and Pulisic playing off of each other and Havertz and Pulisic playing off of each other. Why this is so important and why I was so impressed is because I always think Pulisic is somebody who wants the ball and turn. And this game he showed a kind of chemistry with these players and a mindfulness of their positioning. He had those one-touch flicks, those headers in behind, etc., where he found them quickly. He didn't waste time to find them, and that impressed me. I didn't expect that from him, but that's the importance of chemistry. Why these players have been building chemistry for nearly a year now, as
They
opposed
know
to
each
new
other.
players.
As you said, Champions League football, these three, and I must include Timo Werner as well in the mix and Ziyech, the chemistry was good in the Champions League for our forward players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
And correct me if
that's
I'm wrong. This front three was Real Madrid against. I'm pretty sure this was the front three in the
yeah.
first leg.
This
Real
is Real
Madrid.
Madrid front three when we won, and
Yeah,
Pulisic assisted Mount again, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second goal. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was it, man. But now on to Lukaku,
Oh, the bad boy.
our main
The
boy.
bad boy. The bad boy.
What I'm gonna use for this Lukaku presentation is against Aston Villa because they played a very similar formation to Liverpool. Instead of a 4-3-3, they played a 4-3-1-2, right? So it's the same thing defensively when it comes to the 4 and the 3. So it'll be a good comparison. I didn't use Brighton because they use a back 3 and a different dynamics with a back 4 and a back 3.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm not gonna change everything except for key players, right? So like for example, I won't use Hudson-Odoi. I'll just leave Pulisic because it won't make a big difference, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Let me just bring in Lukaku, my main man. And what I really want to bring in is Jorginho, right? So bye-bye, Kante. You did really well. I'm proud of you. But now we're bringing in Jorginho. Yeah, so now, just to give some context here, the actual lineup had Hudson-Odoi here. It had Pulisic at right wing back, and it had Reece James at RCB. When Lukaku came in is when Chalobah was injured and this and that. So it was around the 60th minute. He got a good 30 minutes to play. Okay, so now on to pressing, the back four. I know we remember that Pulisic, when he played as striker, he pressed one CB and Mount pressed one CB. That allowed Havertz to cut the line to the fullback, right? Allowing Alonso to tuck in and create a midfield three to
really
counteract.
suffocate the opposition to one side of the field.
Yeah, they did do that, and they also created a 3v2 situation or 3v3 situation in midfield. But yes, the reason you said suck them to the side, the reason you want to do that because when you suck them to the side, you get a 3v2, right?
Yeah.
When you let them play centrally, it's a 3v3.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to suck them to the side. So yeah, good point. So what happened? But that's what happened this game against Liverpool. But when Lukaku actually played, what he does a lot of the time, and I've seen this even before he got injured, Lukaku would actually step into a central attacking midfield role to cover that pass and lane to the central midfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a result, the two wingers would have to go and press these centre backs here, right? Forming a 1 and a 2 kind
Yeah.
of in the
And already
press.
you can see Alonso cannot be inverted anymore. He gets dragged out.
Exactly. Alonso is dragged out.
And
And
then there's no more advantage in midfield. Oh my god, you genius. You
and what
damn effing genius.
what happens is now we see even this doesn't look bad, but now we have to remember that this is horizontal and now Jorginho is vertical to Kovacic. And what happens here? You basically get a 5v1 or a
Bro, we are
5v2 situation.
outnumbered. We are outnumbered. And this is the thing, Ryan. They blame Jorginho
Jorginho.
every time they see this.
Yeah. And it's not supposed to be that way. You're actually seeing it here. It's a 4v1 or 4v2 situation in this circle here. Let me just draw that circle so y'all could see, so you'll never blame Jorginho again.
But don't worry, even after this, people
Yeah.
will be still blaming Jorginho because
And this is what happens a lot of the time when Lukaku does not press. So see what happens here is that now when the ball is progressed, sorry, when the ball is progressed to midfield, we are completely run over. We put Rudiger in a predicament where he has to mark, and now, especially if you have Pulisic up here, right wing back, now you're just spread thin because it's not like you even have defensive players anymore. You have Reece James here having to act as centre back, and a 37-year-old Thiago Silva alone here having to sweep up a huge area. That's a disaster waiting to happen, and that's actually what we saw, and that's why we're so vulnerable on transitions and defensively. Obviously today we're going to be vulnerable because that's Mana, not Mane and Salah, right? But I mean,
Bro, did you just put the two together? Mane and
yeah,
Salah
bro,
as
I tell
Mana?
you, my brain is fried. Mana, right? That's it.
Mana.
That's a new striking combo, bro. Mana.
Salah and Mane together. Mana.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's why we get overrun here, and a lot of times Jorginho is a scapegoat, unfortunately. And I know people would say if we have a Rice, he could still deal with that situation. But I say no matter how much legs you
No.
have, or how tall you are, how fast or
No
powerful you are,
way.
when you're
You
in a
will get
4v2
exposed.
situation, you'll get exposed.
You'll get exposed. Yep,
And
you will.
and that's what it all begins with Lukaku not doing what he's supposed to do. If Lukaku had just pressed here with the intention to win the ball, yes, sometimes Lukaku is on the left, but he still doesn't press it with the intention to win the ball,
Yeah.
and still somebody has to go and press the centre back. So even if he is on the left or right, somebody still has to go and press his man.
Because he's not pressing with that intensity to win the ball, as you're
He's
saying.
he's just pressing with like a formality to not get in trouble. So it's okay, I'll just move towards the player, but I'm not really pressing.
So that my manager can just say, okay, tick, you've pressed somewhat.
Yeah, and that's the actual main difference here. And that is why Ragnic said in that viral interview of his in that press conference, he said that you can't half press. You can't half a word pressing. You're either a pressing team or not a pressing team. If you're not a pressing team, we'll do something else.
Exactly.
Right? Because look, all it takes is one player not doing it for a whole domino effect of one movement, two movement, three movement, and everything goes to shit.
Domino effect. This is another thing that I've been talking about. I don't know if you've heard me say this, Ryan. I've been talking about domino effect a lot in recent times. The fact that we don't have Ben Chilwell, it's going to create a lot of domino effect with Alonso coming in where he's not as skillful as Ben Chilwell. And that will create issues in midfield, issues up front, issues in the build-up. And that will then trickle onto other positions. What you've just said in regards to one player not pressing, it puts immense. In fact, you can't press. You can't. Like, I don't care how well drilled of a pressing team you are and how good you are as an individual player. One player in this level, especially in the Premier League level, right? It's impossible. You're going to get eaten up.
I think that's what we saw on Lampard. A lot of English managers or modern managers, right? They want to press because that's the in thing, but actually have a way to press it. It's an organized way to press, and that's what German managers and like managers from those countries really specialize in, because it's an organized art to press. It's a puzzle, and if you have one missing piece of the puzzle, it comes to nothing. And that's what a lot of English managers maybe don't. I can't say what they don't realize because I'm just carefree tactics, but that's probably what goes wrong for some teams. They have a missing piece of the puzzle, and you start compensating for where players supposed to be, and all of a sudden it have gaps there. So yeah, this is the main difference with
Brilliant.
why we press so good. Because a lot of people think, oh, our front three is so good at pressing, and they affect the front line of pressing, right? Sorry, the front line of pressing. But I say, okay, yes, it's the front line, but that's just the first part. It affects how our midfield press, it affects how our wing backs press, it affects how
Yeah.
our defenders press, it affects how our whole press. So in that title of my thread, I say how our press is much better, however. But I'm talking about how our whole press with 10 players. I'm not talking about how
Yeah.
press with 3 players. I'm not talking about
Pressing as a
front 3
unit,
as
the
a unit.
entire unit.
Yes. And that's why I wanted people to realize with this video. That's why I hit you up at
Bro,
4 a.m. in
amazing.
the morning, because I was like this evil genius working all night, wondering what to write on, and I finally guessed it. I had to call you, the newspaper publisher, to publish my article on UFOs because I found the answer. That's exactly what's happening right now.
This is brilliant. Honestly, let me just take this out because I want to give Ryan all the limelight here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you lot appreciate Ryan on this channel. And you've just seen, he's just provided us an amazing tactical breakdown. Everything that we sort of conceptualized in our head, we got to see up front. And I hope each and every one of you guys got a lot out of this as to how the pressing gets broken when one individual doesn't seem to wholeheartedly press. It also showcases why it looked like we controlled or dominated a midfield, opposition midfield, when in other matches maybe it doesn't look that way. You've got the example today as to what is kind of going on. And with all the Lukaku debacle that's been going around, maybe Thomas Tuchel is going to put his feet down and probably just going to say, look, maybe we go without Lukaku. I don't know. Obviously, we'll get to know today what the status of the situation is. I think the meeting with Lukaku's around 9 a.m. UK time. Maybe in the afternoon-ish or later on in the day, we probably won't find out what has happened for the situation. But it's clear to see that, pressing is a lot more cohesive and as a unit without Lukaku. But Ryan, any final thoughts before I let you go and sleep, my man?
Yeah, it's part of our identity too. Like, it's not just a part of our game. It is our game under Tuchel, and I think that in the middle of the season we don't have time to change that right now. We already have something good. We showed a performance today of why we are champions of Europe without many with key players missing. Obviously, I mean, imagine if we had proper up and down wing backs to us, and imagine if we had like a Werner. I just wanted to say something before, since it's 28 minutes and we could go up to 30. I really loved Mount's intent when he pressed today. I think that Mount presses with an intent to win the ball. I think that some players press with the intent to close down, but not to win. They just stop at the last moment.
Bro, there were a couple of times, I swear to you, he almost won and we would have been one-on-one.
With Fabinho, I remember that moment.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to say, like Pulisic and Werner, there are 2 other people who press with the intent to win. How much times you see Werner and his poor blunt self in the end and the wing trying to win back a ball with his back towards the defender, because you know what, he works hard for the team and he doesn't complain when he's at left mid and he's supposed to be a striker. And that's the kind of guy I want in my team. Despite his mistakes, I'll back him as long as he's a Chelsea player, and I want him to score when he comes back. And I'm not throwing words to anybody there, but you catch my drift what I say there. And I just also want to say that with Hudson-Odoi and his pressing, Hudson-Odoi impresses me in many facets of his game, but I think that he's another guy who presses, but I don't really see the intent to win the ball when he presses. It's more like he's covering ground, but when he covers ground, isn't doing as much as what Pulisic does when he presses, or Mount does, or Werner does. And I think that having Hudson and Lukaku as a combo, while they might be really good at attacking, when it comes to that press, we really lose a part of our game there. If you don't have that intent to win the ball back. Last thing I want to say before I close it off, Miz, I'm gonna clip that 10 seconds of you calling me a genius, a damn genius, and pin it on my Twitter
Bro,
because
do it. Do it.
that was
Do
a
it.
raw reaction.
That blew my mind as soon as you sort of were talking through that situation. I was like, oh my God, I've seen this. I've seen this live. I have seen that live. And this man has just broken it down into bits. Clip it, bro, clip it, pin it. And then, yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, why not? Let's go back to our Champions League ways. It brought us a lot of, success. Let's go for a Champions League run again. Title's over, Premier League is over, so let's go for
Premier
Champions League.
Leagues, man.
exactly. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button. Get this. I better see at least minimum 250 likes to 300 likes. Let's absolutely smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Check out my boy Ryan's socials, the descriptions all there below. Please follow him on Twitter. Please follow him on Twitter. And until next time, I'm pretty sure we'll have another video later on today.
Yo, and
of course.
I just want to say, for all the new people who came from my thread or my Twitter, first time on Miz's channel, subscribe, because I'm here a lot. And then he has not only tactical with me, he has news with a lot of guests. He has his own streams. He does his own commentary. And a lot of people on the other side of the coin family that who you may or may not know. It's my favorite channel on YouTube for Chelsea. I'm on this channel, and even when I'm eating, I put on this channel and watch. I love to see Miz get angry at players. It's my funniest thing ever, because he's like a disappointed dad, like telling off a high schooler for like smoking or something, and it's so funny to watch. So it's my favorite channel out there. So be sure to subscribe and leave comments on anything you want to see in the future. Like it, and thanks for the support, everybody. Get to 10K. We're gonna get to 9 and 10K.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, take care and catch you soon.